Good morning, I'm Lauren Osborne. Today's Sunday, June 19th. Let's check in with meteorologist Arden Gregory for a look at your forecast this morning. Well, first of all, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, and mine who's watching from North Carolina. What can everyone expect today as they celebrate Dad?
Well, we have some fantastic weather on tap for Father's Day. It's going to be a great day to get outside and spend some time with Dad. Absolutely. We're already off to a really gorgeous start across eastern Kentucky. Pinpoint Doppler showing nice clean sweeps as we scan the skies for you this morning. Just a few clouds overhead, but for the most part, we're seeing nice blue skies over eastern Kentucky right now. And temperature-wise, starting out fairly mild this morning. Temperatures ranging from the low to mid to even upper 60s right now. 61 in Wise, Harlan, and London, and then a little warmer up to the north, 68 in both Prestonsburg and Paintsville, and everyone else falling somewhere in between in the mid 60s for the most part. So as you're headed out the door this morning, those temperatures are nice and mild, just a few clouds overhead, a nice quiet start to the day. As we head into the afternoon hours, we are going to warm things up, topping out in the low to mid 80s, but it will be very similar to yesterday. Have nice low humidity. It'll be a very comfortable warmth, a fantastic day to get out and about, but that will not be the case the rest of this week, and I'll have the details on that a little later.
Arden, thank you so much. Looking for answers after a deadly shooting. 2 people are behind bars after a deadly shooting in Knox County. I talked to a neighbor who describes the frightening scene.
And then I heard boom.
A scary Saturday for many in the Gray community after a shooting left one man dead.
And the next thing I know is there was a SKS stuck right to my face.
A neighbor I spoke with says 3 men showed up at his front door asking for someone they say robbed them. The neighbor says moments later he heard multiple gunshots right outside of his window.
All I heard was ba-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da. The next thing I know is I was sitting there and I got my flashlight after all the noise quieted down, and I looked out and I seen the man laying there.
Lowe says he ran outside to see if the man was okay. That's when he called 911.
When troopers arrived, we found that one victim had been shot.
Police say the man later died at the hospital and say they're still trying to figure out what happened. Lowe says he wishes he could have done more to save the victim.
But it makes me feel good that, he had a good chance to live. But I mean, it makes me feel really bad knowing that, someone lost their kid.
As police search for more suspects. Police ask that if you have any information to call them at 606-573-3131. In Laurel County, 2 arrests have now been made in an attempted murder case that we've been following. On June 10th, deputies say a 16-year-old girl and 2 men were involved in a robbery that resulted in a shooting on Taylor Bridge Road. All of the suspects were able to get away, but Friday night, deputies arrested 19-year-old Deontay Williams and the juvenile runaway. They're both facing charges of attempted murder, robbery, and theft by unlawful taking. Deputies tell us an additional arrest is expected. Johnson County Sheriff's deputies arrested a man Friday night they say shot at his wife at their home in Thielka community. Deputies say it started as an argument that turned violent. WYMT's Chandler Markey spoke to neighbors who heard the gunshots.
Johnson County dispatchers received a call that a man had shot 3 times at his wife on Friday.
I came to smoke a cigarette and I heard just bang, bang, and I thought, that's a gunshot. And I knew it came from this 2-story house down the road here.
Deputies say it was an argument turned violent when 24-year-old Charles Blankenship came home high on meth. Deputies say his wife and their child were able to escape from the house behind me unharmed. After Blankenship refused to exit the home, Johnson County Sheriff's deputies contacted the county attorney for an arrest warrant.
We turned the hallway around by the kitchen and seen him sitting there with a 9mm handgun, and he refused to do anything. He wouldn't move, wouldn't put his hands up. We couldn't actually see what he was doing, really.
Kentucky State Police assisted in the arrest, a situation that could have ended deadly.
He made a little bit of a movement, so we took the chance and ended up grabbing the gun and was able to grab him. And a short struggle, we was able to get him in handcuffs.
Deputies also found several pills, a bag of methamphetamine, and marijuana on Blankenship. In Johnson County, Chandler Markey, WYMT Mountain News.
We reached out to Blankenship at Big Sandy Regional Detention Center to request an interview, but we're told an administrator would not be able to prove it until Monday. In Georgetown yesterday, folks held a vigil for those lost in the Orlando shooting. Community members read each of the 49 names off, but one name affected many right here in Kentucky. Daryl Burt, known as DJ, lived in Georgetown for several years. His old Sunday school teacher read words from his brother at the gathering yesterday evening. Here in the mountains, folks spent yesterday evening praying for those affected by the shooting and mourning their loss. Dozens of people met in downtown Prestonsburg for a prayer vigil to remember those 49 lives lost. Folks from the community gathered to speak, pray, and talk about the massacre.
This event tonight is just about, God loves people, no matter who they are, and just more love, less hate, and better tolerance for anyone, not just LGBT community, but everyone around.
Several churches were represented at the vigil, hoping to share their message with the community. Boyd County Sheriff's deputies arrested a man from Detroit Friday. Deputies say 51-year-old Jimmy Hurst got off a bus from Detroit and hailed a cab, which was stopped for a minor traffic offense in Ashland. Deputies searched the cab and found, quote, a large amount of OxyContin and ecstasy tablets they say belonged to Hurst. He's now facing 2 counts of possession and trafficking in a controlled substance. Kentucky State Police say a traffic stop in Coal Run led to a drug arrest. They say they pulled over 37-year-old Jonathan Wright and his passenger Samantha Baker at the Daniel Boone Motor Inn. That's when police say they found a variety of prescription pain medication, meth, marijuana, and several items of drug paraphernalia. They say they also found $700 in cash. Wright and Baker are both in the Pike County Detention Center. Some big changes in the works for the University of Louisville. Friday, we told you that Governor Matt Bevin announced he's removing all but 3 members from the university's board. He also said the university's president, James Ramsey, has agreed to resign. Ramsey has been there for 14 years. Yesterday, we heard from one of the university's most powerful alums. Senator Mitch McConnell says Ramsey's long tenure has made U of L a better place. But at the same time, he says he agrees with the governor's actions.
I do think the governor did the right thing by clearing the board off. It's been a source of dissension and confusion both within the university and out in the community for a couple of years. So I think a fresh start's a good idea. Whether Jim Ramsey needs to be a part of a fresh start, I would like for the new board to consider that.
McConnell also says the improvements under Ramsey at Louisville have been what he calls spectacular, despite the university's recent controversies. Governor Matt Bevin has also abolished the Kentucky Retirement Systems Board of Trustees and replaced it with a board of directors. According to his office, Bevin appointed 4 new members with investment experience, and that current members will retain their seats. Last month, the Republican governor used state police officers to prevent the chairman from participating in a meeting of the board of one of the country's worst funded pension systems. Coming up on Mountain News this morning, a former Vanderbilt football player found guilty, what prosecutors believe may have sealed his fate. And ahead in sports, Randall Cobb gets to do something he rarely gets to do, hold a football camp in Wisconsin. We'll tell you why the former Wildcat could do it this time.
And beautiful weather for your Father's Day, but the rest of the week doesn't look nearly as nice. Stay with us. I'll have your full 7-day forecast when we come back.